Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. So good to be with you today. So good to be with AP Steadham. He's everybody's favorite talk show host when it pertains to sports, because he knows all the stuff. I mean, what are you? People just come to you for resources and just, and you get all the latest sports news and what have you. What's going on now?
Hey, Donna, so glad to be on the show once again. But Donna, we're getting ready for the SEC Media Days, football media days. And Don, just to give you an indication of the relevance and the significance, the SEC spends 4 days promoting the game of football. 4 days where, for instance, I'm going to the Pac-12 media day, and that's just 1 day, and that's in Las Vegas, 1 day. They have this, 14 teams, I think, in the Pac-12 as well. And the SEC is 14 teams. They spend 4 days. So that'll be in Nashville for the very first time, Donna. So that'll be next week. So, we'll be going to Nashville. They'll have, let's say, 3 teams on 1 day, 4 teams, and then 3 teams. So they have the head coach, and then they'll have 3 players accompanying the head coach. So we get a chance to question those 4 people from each school.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be good for you, too, because you don't have to worry about time zones, like being 2 and 3 hours behind. And that's huge.
Oh, yeah. So we'll be in Nashville. They'll start on Monday. I think the first one starts. I think the commissioner opens up the proceedings, and then we'll speak to the coaches that day as well. Then we'll have some receptions during the week and some parties, but it's always entertaining to see all the people from across the country that cover college football, not only in the region but across the country. So that's a benefit to participating and covering the event as well.
Mm-hmm. And you also get to talk with new folks who are practically new in football. I mean, not within the sport itself, but at least new in college football, and then also a lot of the seasoned players as well.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes, Donna, a coach will feel that a younger player is ready to meet the media, so they'll be one of the players representing the team. Sometimes they'll bring the quarterback. Maybe if they don't have a quarterback, they'll have to bring some other offensive player to represent that side of the football, because there are some teams that are still trying to figure out their quarterback. Yeah, Alabama's one, of course. Georgia, they pretty much have a quarterback. I think Carson Beck be the quarterback. So there's some teams that they won't bring the quarterback because they're still in the process of ironing that out in the fall, the preseason practices.
Mm-hmm. Eric, who is one of your listeners for a long time, he said he follows you on my Facebook page.
Okay.
And so he has a question too, and this is pertaining to your media days. He heard us talking about it last week.
Yes.
And so his question was about sometimes the players get traded to other teams during this media days.
Well, I'm not sure what he means exactly, but I know that there are players that have transferred from one school to the other.
I think that's what he was asking.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, so that's very unique, Don. Imagine one day you're playing for Alabama, next week next time you're playing for Auburn, and vice versa, or you're playing for Tennessee, and then you're playing for Mississippi State or some other school. So that's something new to the game of college football, because in the past sometimes they even have a rule way back, I think, that you couldn't even transfer to a school within the conference. And then, or if you did, you'd have to sit out 2 years. So who's going to sit out 2 years? So essentially, it was nobody's going to transfer within the conference because they had to sit out 2 years. But now that's not the case. You can make this one-time transfer and not have to have a waiver. But they're still looking at those rules. They'll probably tweak them down the road. But yeah, this is a new world of college football. 1 minute you're playing for Mississippi State, the next time you're playing for Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, times have changed a lot. Do you think social media has brought some of the change, made it happen?
Well, I think that there's a voice that was pretty loud, where in years past you didn't have a voice, Donna. Mm-hmm. So the fans and the alumni, they had a beef with some of the rules and the interpretations, and they wanted to have some changes, but they didn't have the vehicle to voice those opinions. But now you do. But I don't know if that was the reason that you have the change. I think it's more, the players through the years have said we need more freedom because the coaches can change from one school to the other. Why can't we?
Mm-hmm. My cat is making his appearance right there on the screen.
I see. There's a kitty. Hi, kitty.
Yeah, that's the thing about having your studio in house. We thought if we had another building that it would work out this way, but he finds it wherever I go. But
Yes.
yes, and this brings into mind personalities too. And we talked about that last week. We've talked about it several times, and that's whether people are chosen based on personality. That's a fine line. I mean, because personality does play a lot into being on a team.
Right. So, sometimes down to the coach, they're reviewing a couple of different criteria when they're selecting the players that they want to bring to the SEC media days in Nashville. One is, are they able to answer the questions and be a good representation of the school? Sometimes the player will not reveal that much. So that's why that particular player is chosen. They're not liable to give long, elaborate answers. So that's another thing for coaches. They train the players. They don't want them to say very much about the team. So that's another reason they might be selected by the coach.
Yeah, I would think so too, because sometimes, I mean, people can just, get into a talking frenzy sometimes and leak information that needs to be leaked. Not meaning to, it just happens to some people.
Right. Some players have big personalities. They like to talk, and the coach doesn't really want to have them be the face of the program because they might say something that is slightly controversial or out of order in their mind. But there's nothing you could do, Donna. When you bring somebody before the media, they're going to be asked questions, and you just have to hope that you train them well and proceed.
Yeah, you have to hope that you're right. Training. That's training all within itself to make sure you say the right thing.
Yeah, yes, the media training. Yeah, they're prepped with possible questions for that this year's team that might be asked by the media members. So yeah, that's all part of their learning process as a player. And development too, Don, because they're going to be in the pros. They're going to be asked questions all the time. They're not going to be sheltered. In college, maybe you could shelter somebody. In the pros, it's hard to shelter somebody.
Yeah, because people have said things, to the media before, and they probably didn't mean it the way it came out. It's just that it came out the wrong way, and it kind of trashed their career.
Well, in this day and age, Donna, almost anything is accepted, right? So,
right.
you have a chance to rebound and clarify your answers.
Yeah, you can go in there and apologize. And
yes.
Not agree anymore. But I would think, and I wanted to ask this question, and actually Kent asked this question too, so I'm kind of paraphrasing what Kent said. Okay. And this is about: have you ever been surprised with a player who comes in all shy, and then once you start interviewing them, they just really come out? How many times does that happen?
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often, Donna, but once in a while, I mean, because there's so many people in the room, usually it's the head coach at the podium, and then they have the 3 other podiums with the players. So possibly maybe there's a big star on that person's team and they're getting all the attention. You might move over to the other podium where the player's by himself, and you might be in a one-on-one, more intimate conversation with them, and they reveal some certain things. So that does happen on occasion, yes.
Well, I've got to tell you, people kid with my husband all the time, Phil. And they say, "Oh, I bet you never get a word in edgewise at home." And he said, "Actually, she never says a word unless she's on the show." So sometimes it just comes out when you're on that. And that was a good question, I thought, because really some people, when you put a camera in front of them, you think, "Oh, that person's probably going to melt," and they actually come out.
Right. Donna, the number of people in front of the individual sometimes that has a tendency to make them tighten up. Or if it's just one-on-one, they're relaxed.
Yeah. And then you've got this outgoing personality yourself. It's very friendly and you're very approachable. That probably has a lot to do with it. It's probably why you get all these good interviews.
Well, Donna, I think that I've heard or read several times that communication is 80% tone. 80% tone. So you may ask a question. It's difficult, but if you have a tone that is open and sincere and authentic, they'll answer the question. But if you're in a what people can understand or visualize or hear as an attack mode, then they're going to retreat. They're going to retreat.
Oh, of course. I learned that just by interviewing politicians,
Right.
whether I agree with them or not. I mean, they got a platform on my show. I mean, I don't care,
Right.
because information has to get out. And I think you're doing a great job doing that. Another thing I've noticed you do in your interviews is you're actually looking at the people in their eyeballs. My granddad always said that. He always said,
Yeah.
this is an old lesson. It's old timey, but you're never going to get the trust from people. And he's in the business world. He said, you'll never get the attention. You'll never get what you need out of your company unless you're looking at people in the eyes when you're talking to them.
Right. Yeah. That's probably one of the number one traits that you should have when you're interviewing people. You're looking them in the eye and you're trying to make that connection.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, he's very needy today. Very needy. Let's go ahead and cut into a commercial break and let's see if we can get Greenlee somewhere else. We'll be right back in just a minute. Everybody hang in there. Greenlee, you want to say bye to everybody? Because you're about to go. Okay, we'll be right back.
You have been at this for 12 years. Why are you doing it? Because God's children are not for sale.
Rated PG-13.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, We're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television as well, Channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also check us out on the podcast at netnewsnetwork.net. I think Greenlee wants to be the star of the show. Greenlee, you're not the star. Get out. I have with me AP Steadham, and AP is our sports guy. He's the guy we actually go to. Now, you also have your own show, and let's talk about that for just a few minutes.
Every Friday at 4 p.m. on IC Radio, AP and Kelly as we see it. So we're really enjoy being a part of your network, Donna. Every Friday at 4 p.m. IC Radio, we have different guests. We have discussion, analysis, observation. So we discuss primarily the Southeastern Conference, but we always talk about the other teams because those other teams play the Southeastern Conference in the bowl games and the college football playoffs and in basketball as well. So, but we primarily discuss the Southeastern Conference, all the 14 teams. So that's why we're going to be in Nashville next week covering the 2023 SEC Football Media Days. First time in Nashville.
That's awesome. And I'm glad you mentioned that because Jake is one of our listeners, and Jake says he lives in Oregon. And he said he would like to hear more about other sports teams and not only us here in the South.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to be, you can tell Jake that I'll be at the Pac-12 Media Days, and we'll get a chance to visit with probably Bo Nix, the former Auburn quarterback who transferred to Oregon. Mm-hmm. So we'll be visiting with him in Las Vegas. So I'll discuss some of that on my show in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, who was on your show last week?
Oh, last week, Donna. Let me see. Remember who we had on last week. I'm trying to recall myself. I need a moment to recall that. Yes, we had Roman Harper. Roman Harper, the college football analyst for the SEC Network. He played at the University of Alabama, played defensive back safety, played for the Saints, won a Super Bowl, played for Carolina in the Super Bowl as well. And then we had Robbie Weinstein. Robbie covers Vanderbilt football because we were previewing last week Alabama and Vanderbilt because the last 5 or 6 weeks we've been reviewing maybe a couple of teams in the conference every week. Mm-hmm. So those were our last two teams that we had to review, Alabama and Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm. And you talked with a number of folks too. You talked with coaches as well.
Yeah, we've had on our show, we had the former Auburn coach, Brian Harsin. We had Shane Beamer, the head coach at South Carolina. So we hope to continue that during this season. And we hope to get more players on, Donna. It's not very easy to get the players to be on the show because the coaches, they're very restrictive. Mm-hmm. But we have managed to get some. We're going to try to get more this coming season.
Yeah, and as the season progresses, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen as well. So let's go ahead and talk about our teams here in the South. I'll have to tell you, it's really strange how I get more why is this happening? I'm getting more emails and text messages from folks in Tennessee than anywhere.
Yeah, well, you're up there in North Alabama. They like to listen to your show, and Tennessee's a hot team right now because Tennessee is on the cusp, Donna. If they're going to challenge Georgia, I think.
So.
I'm not sure if they can beat them, but they're going to challenge them. And that game this year, I believe, should be in Knoxville in November. So Tennessee has a schedule. They start off playing in Nashville, actually, believe it or not, Virginia from the ACC. And then they have to travel to Alabama in October. That'll be a big ball game because they upset Alabama last year, and they're trying to continue beating Alabama. You know, they hadn't beaten them in a long time. I think it was 14 or 15 years prior to last year's game, which was really exciting. It's a phenomenal offensive showcase, 52-49, last-second field goal by Tennessee to win the game. Mm-hmm. So then last week we spoke about all the kickers, every single team in the kicking situation, just the field goal kicking situation. So we wanted to emphasize that last week because, Donnie, you don't hear about the kicker unless they miss it usually.
That's true.
You know, even if they make it sometime, you know, oh, Tennessee won the game or a team won the game by the field goal kicker, but maybe you don't recall their name. So we tried to review all the kickers that are going to be participating and starting for their team. So we did every single team last week. But anyway, I'm a big believer. I know it's important. Special teams is certainly important, and I always try to discuss that because they can win or lose the game, Donna. You can win or lose a game with the field goal kicker.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that a lot. Nick also had it's more like a remark that he made about Philip Fulmer. Okay. He's apparently a big Alabama fan. And I must tell you, Alabama fans they won't let it go about Philip Fulmer from Tennessee. Right. And he's not the coach anymore. Let it go.
Yeah, no, yeah, they have long memories, right? That's their mascot. Yeah. The elephant is the mascot. So long memories, Alabama fans.
Oh man, that's all I heard for years. I'm still hearing it. So yeah. Sometimes, and again, you know, sometimes, and it didn't really mess up Fulmer's career. Isn't he still on the faculty somewhere?
I think he's being faded out right now. He came back as the athletic director, and so he made one hire, and then they have the new athletic director who came from Central Florida. That's right, Central Florida. Last name of White. He comes from a family of athletic directors. His dad was athletic director at Duke University, and so he came from Central Florida, and he hired his coach, Josh Heupel. He's done sensational so far. So that was a good hire as an athletic director, and a very good hire as the head football coach. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. By the way, if you have any questions for AP, all you have to do is send those to my email address, which is donna@donnasedge.com. donna@donnasedge.com. So we appreciate you sending those. So, and a lot of good questions here have been asked. And another one was pertaining to, and I thought I just had to mention this one. Every single week, somebody sends the same. You can probably guess what it is. Is Coach Saban retiring this year?
Yeah, I mean, John, when you started to mention that, can you guess? And I started to think it's the same question about Coach Saban retiring.
That was sent by Dan. But Dan, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I would say you're probably going to ask that question maybe at least the next 5 years, at least so.
Yeah. I
would say, yeah, Coach Saban, like I said, he doesn't have any big hobbies, and he enjoys what he does, coaching and recruiting. So I don't know what he would do if he retired.
That's what he loves doing. He probably say like my husband he's retired 3 different times, and now we're running this business here. Some people just have to work.
Yeah, he likes to recruit, and that's the lifeblood of college football. To always, manage your roster and attract new players and from everywhere. So no, he loves that part of the college football game. So he's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Amy asked a question, and she was talking about support teams, support personnel. So who do you think has the biggest influence on a coach? Amy? Hang on. Okay, so she wants to know who, in your opinion, is the best support for a coach, his wife or the support team, his coaches?
Yeah, his wife is the biggest supporter because they're involved on a major level football. You're hosting recruits all the time. You can't have a wife that's on the road all the time. I mean, she's part of that team.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question, because you're meeting the mothers, you're meeting the dads, you're meeting the people who are entrusted with the lives of these young athletes. So you have to be available and present at all the time. So it's the wives' biggest support to a coach.
Well, times have changed. We have computers, we have Zoom, we have StreamYard, we have all this stuff. So do coaches, and this is a Donna question, so do the coaches and their wives still go visit the team, visit the player and their parents?
The coach does, the head coach. Yeah, the wife, no. No, the head coach is on the road recruiting, yes. And then they host on different weekends the players at the house. So that's why the wife has to be there, because the parents could be there as well.
Mm-hmm. And that says a lot. And then we have 3 minutes left in this segment, but I wanted to bring this one in. Amy had a question. This is about the cheerleaders. How are cheerleaders picked for a team?
Yeah, it's very competitive, Donna, and it just depends on your cheerleading squad. I'll just give you 2 examples. In the SEC, that's more a gymnastics type of person who's chosen, whereas in the West Coast, they're more of the cheerleaders who can, I would say, dance. They have dance moves per se. They're not doing all the tumbling and flipping. It's 2 different styles of cheerleading. So that's what I've seen in the last 30 years or so. That's the change. The West Coast, primarily, they're of the dance mode, and we're in the Southeast. It's the gymnastic type of individual that's selected to be a cheerleader.
But I got to tell you, what gets me rocking and rolling at a ball game is not necessarily the cheerleaders; it's the band.
Oh, the band, yes, the band was fantastic. In across the country, I love the band. I wish they would have had the band on the TV at halftime instead of some of the commentating. I like to have people see the band because they work very hard do the cheerleaders every day they're practicing.
And then locally, right here in high school, we have quite a few bands that make the Macy's Thanksgiving parade every year. Albertville, Alabama, Oxford, Alabama, and they're always there.
Donna, that's really funny that you mentioned Albertville High School Band, because I've only been to 2 Macy's Day parades, and the first one I went to is in the mid 80s, and the band that came out was Albertville, and I saw them.
I know, isn't that something?
Yeah.
I have a niece who actually got to go to New York that year, and it was just thrilling. But they just always, I don't know what the criteria is, but they always pick the good ones. Less than a minute. What would you like to tell everybody before you go, AP?
Yeah, next week we're going to try to fit in the show down, because we'll be busy all Monday through Thursday with the meetings. So we're going to try to figure out how we can work this out, Donna. But we're going to be in Nashville covering all the 14 teams. We'll have the head coach of the football team, and 3 players will accompany the head coach. So we'll have a chance to visit and ask questions of all the different programs and see what some of the main storylines for the year. If they have their quarterback figured out, their defense needs to get better, offense, special teams. Maybe it's like Mississippi State has a new head coach. So we're going to have a lot of fun in Nashville at the 2023 SEC Football Media Days.
That sounds good. Okay, let's go ahead and call it a day, but you hang around just for a minute so we can get you scheduled, because it's going to be a little different next week.
Yes, Donna. Yes.
But thank you so much for watching The Edge. My name is Donna, and I'll be seeing you next time around. You take care.